It's been a little while since I've done an update for Lord of the Rings, and it's likely going to be a while until I do my next one, because I was further ahead of my friend than I thought I was, and now that I've read Lothlórien, I'm even further ahead. So, I kind of have a justification to wait for them to catch up with me because I don't really like this part in the book. Up until now, I've been enjoying myself with Lord of the Rings a little bit more so than I remember. And that's a good thing because, I've always been a little bit lukewarm on Lord of the Rings. And up until this point, I've kind of forgotten why. I've had little road bumps with Tom Bombadil and Flight to the Ford and the time spent in Rivendell. But overall, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm gonna click with it this time. But now that we're in Lothlórien, I'm like, okay, now I remember why I was so mixed about Tolkien overall. Because, look, after the last chapter with Moria, it's kind of like a climax in the story. And after your climax, you've got your falling action. And I understand that, I get it. But even acknowledging all that, this chapter is quite long in the tooth. The characters are all trying to flee into a safe area away from the mountains so that when night falls and the orcs start swarming the area, they've got some good distance between them, and so they go to where they know there to be elves, and elves are kind of like this bulwark against the powers of Mordor because they use their elven rings to like preserve the pristine nature and blah 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 and all that stuff. So it falls into like Tolkien's ideas of preserving nature and the magic inherent in that and how that plays into old fantasy tropes. So there's some cool stuff going on. There's also some cool character moments like the elves don't want any dwarf knowing the way into Lothlórien, so they're gonna blindfold him, but Gimli is so adamant about not being led in like a blind beggar that the whole fellowship agrees to blindfold themselves. So, that's a great moment with the fellowship, and then Gimli also has some moments of tension between the other elves and Legolas, and then a moment of excitement where he's showing Frodo some features in the landscape that mean a lot to him. So, there's still interesting moments. There's still, like, setting up Galadriel. Is she friend or foe? She's like a witch or something. But in spite of all of that, I still find this chapter is very long in the tooth. And I thought that this was the only chapter in Lothlórien. Like, my memory is obviously foggy. But then I looked ahead and saw that, no, there's going to be 2.5 chapters in Lothlórien, including this one. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a little bit of a slog for me. So apologies if I don't love spending time with the most pretentious creatures in all of Middle-earth. But, these chapters would be cool if they were truncated, so thank God for the movies. But anyway, it'll be a while since you hear from me again for Lord of the Rings, but see you next time.